So, we left off. You guys are in the temple, down in the priest's room still. And you've just discovered this wand. You've just discovered this ring. You've read the note. Dane, you've got a book. And you all notice that Terrask has fallen unconscious. He is still alive. He's still breathing. But he is currently just seems to be unconscious. And he didn't seem to you guys like he was about to like pass out, like he was so injured he was just on the throes of like collapsing. He seemed normal, and then all of a sudden he's just on the floor. So that's the situation. I want to move over to Korak and see what he's up to at the moment. You see him hit the floor, and it's kind of like, huh?
Okay, so I will go over and check for a pulse.
Yep, it's there.
Okay. I will shake him. Terrask, wake up. This is no time to be laying down.
He is unresponsive.
Unresponsive. Okay.
Because of self-relief.
Does he look to be physically injured? I don't recall.
Yes, he's quite physically injured. He is. He took a lot of damage in the fight against the Temple Guardian, the Temple Destroyer, and right. But he wasn't. Like I said, he wasn't on the verge of collapse, but he definitely has quite a bit of damage.
Okay. The only thing I have that can heal damage is some of the acorns, and I don't know if that would be a good thing to shove down his throat
while he's unconscious.
Yes.
I was going to say I have some stuff, but I blew up my herbalism thing, so no, yes, I don't have anything.
You presently have no herbalism kit.
No, I got nothing now. So.
And where's Daniel?
You guys had left him down in the village, outside of Nala, with the crew of the ship, and kind of where the ship was built and everything. He and Sir Remshel and a bunch of the other crew stayed there while you guys charged up to Nala with the.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. But we also have the Lord's. We can take him there and have the physicians look at him.
Ishtar, you see Korak looking over Terrask, rather worried.
All right, Ishtar's first reaction probably to go herbalism kit, and it's like whatever this line's version of is. That's the look you see on his face. Well, we need to get him. We're not. I kind of look to Dane and Korak. We're not really healers. We need to. If he took his pulse, he's still alive.
Yes.
So we need to get him to a healer.
Okay. Now, as a gladiator in this city, I know that I probably got patched up a bunch of times. Are we closer to where one of those healers would be, or are we closer to the castle?
You are definitely closer to the castle, and the physicians in the castle are much higher quality than the physicians you ever received as a gladiator in the rings. You certainly got some fine treatment, but in your experience at the castle so far, it's been, it's absolutely top notch.
Okay. So, okay. Let's get him to them as quickly as possible. So I'll throw him in a fireman's carry. Start lugging him up.
Yeah. Dane, do you have anything else to add before you guys leave the temple?
Well, I haven't had the chance really to examine that book that I received. I'm just going to kind of probably not much else to offer at this point. I concur the best thing for us to do is to get him to the castle and have the experts deal with him.
Okay, so you guys, what was that?
I was going to say, yeah, healing's none of our specialties.
Yeah, so you guys make your way back up to the library with Terrask in tow. Korak, as you're carrying him up the stairs, he's heavy. He's got quite a bit of gear and everything on him, but you can feel him kind of start to get clammy and sweaty, kind of like a sick child. Okay. You can tell, you can feel some of the heat exuding off of him as his face kind of flops next to your face. He just feels like he is not doing well. There's something, there's something going on with him. When you get to the top of the stairwell, you see there are guards up there with pikes drawn towards the staircase as you guys come up, and as they see you, they hold their spears up and they give you hands to help bring you up out of there.
Okay. We need to get him to the castle physicians immediately.
Two of the guys will they will take him and just kind of they will just carry him. They don't have anything around to like cart him off or anything. So that those two guys will carry him away and presumably over to the castle, and you can follow. Nobody else is really accosting you. They're just kind of like looking dumbfounded down into the hole in the ground, and then like looking at your guys' scrapes and bruises, and like they're just as shocked as probably everybody else who just got massacred. Oh yeah, small detail, as you were leaving the temple at the base of the stairs, you had to step over a lot of crushed, dead, disgusting bodies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. By the way, when you get up outside of the library, you notice it is... When you went down into the temple, it was about dinner time, or maybe a little earlier than that. You guys have been down here for a few hours, so the night has definitely settled in. There's torches lit around the town. It's definitely kind of nightlife time. It's not like deep into the night or anything. It's maybe 6, 7, 8 o'clock-ish. And if you choose...
I look over at Ishtar. I was going to look over at Ishtar and say, so when are you supposed to meet your old flame?
Ishtar's kind of barely walking at this moment. I have 4 hit points left. I guess Ishtar kind of looks up the sky. Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be soon.
I hand him one of my acorns.
I pull out the note. What was... I don't remember what time it said. It just said nighttime, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. I'll take... Ishtar's had many of these, and he knows they taste like crap, but...
I'm like down to 1 now.
A 1?
I rolled a 1.
Yeah, this one's kind of been sitting in the bottom of his pocket, has some lint on it. Yeah, it's not very good.
I don't have my pencil right now, so I'm going to put my hit points right in the chat.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So that's why I said, like, oh, it's supposed to be soon, but no, we need to get Terrask. Make sure he's okay before I do anything like that.
It looks like you need to be okay yourself.
You see, start kind of grin. Nah, I'll be fine.
Yes, as you guys...
I survived the tree monster. I'll be fine.
As you guys trek over to the palace, or the castle, you are escorted in by some guards. They are aware of the contract between you and Lord Colhelm. They treat you with respect. You see one of the guards that doubted you on your way into the Noble Market District, and they just kind of scowl at you guys a little bit, but they don't say anything unless they are approached.
Not right now.
No, not right
I'll
now.
deal with them later.
Pretty much probably as we pass, I know I will. I'm sure the other guys will follow suit with me. We just kind of give them really, really dirty looks.
Just for the sake of the story, you three give me perception tests, just to see who notices something of not much import, but...
Wow, that was horrible.
18.
Oh, good.
22.
All right.
13.
Okay. Yeah, no, it didn't take much. I was looking for a 13. So basically you all notice that some of your contingent from before, from the ship, you might even catch, Dane, you might catch a glimpse of Daniel and Sir Remshel. They are beginning to kind of come into the city and make their way towards inns and things like that. You see Daniel and Sir Remshel heading towards, since you're in the same district, you almost cross paths. They are heading towards his bookshop. As you guys are headed into the palace. Castle. I keep calling it a palace. Castle. And, yeah, the castle guards will take you guys into the castle and basically put you in the same room with Terrask, as the physicians tend to him. They will inform you that he seems to be doing okay. He does have a slight fever, so he's a little bit feverish, but as far as they can tell, there's nothing at this point that will that they can do other than heal his physical wounds and hope he wakes up. And by the end of it, about an hour later, you basically come to the conclusion that either he is going to wake up on his own or he's in a coma. And you're not sure which.
I think I smoked one of those, a coma.
So, with that, as you guys kind of get that dire news, we switch back over to Terrask. Rory, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Terrask, you again still find yourself locked in this cage, and there's a moment after all of what happened with Lady Naladri already. She leaves, and you're left there just kind of waiting for her to come back and say something. You're just waiting. You know that the last thing she said was that she's waiting for your body to starve, and then as soon as it does, she will consume you. And that's the last thing she said. And you are there, and there's a moment. Time is weird here, but there's a moment where you hear a voice in your head, and it's the voice of the little girl. Again, it's a familiar voice. It's soft. It's very delicate. It cracks, but it's her voice nonetheless, and you can see her at far distance. Actually, no, you can't. I forget if she put her in plain sight or if she just allowed you to see her. I think she just allowed you to see her. But you can hear her, and she's speaking to you telepathically, and her voice is coming through into your mind. And she said, you hear a whisper, and it says, "Are you there?"
Yes, little girl. I'm here.
She says, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." Has she hurt you?
Not physically.
He's like, she says, I don't know what's going to happen. And she kind of struggles to speak. Her voice kind of fades in and out. And she says, there is one thing I can think of to do. I don't know how, though. If somehow I could be released without her knowing, I could attempt to join with her again.
And Terrask kind of laughs and goes, yes, if I can release you again whilst finding myself in the same situation. No. I think this time you will stay that way and I shall perish.
Says, well, I might not need your help. I might be able to get out of these on my own.
Then why would you have not done that, little girl? He's shocked. He doesn't understand.
She says, I've only just woken up. I'm in pain.
But what do you mean by join her again?
She says all those years ago when she cast that spell to tear me out of her consciousness.
But would that not destroy you? I spoke with her about it, and I see the harm it would do to her, but I don't see how you could escape it.
She says it might make her remember. It might turn her heart. Hope wouldn't be completely lost. I may be consumed and corrupted, but that's not a guarantee. There's hope.
I think I would be the most hopeful if you freed me and let me deal with her.
She says, but if I rejoined with her, you wouldn't have to. I'm sure she would let you leave.
She's a part of you you don't need. None of us need her.
Says, I can't exist without her. The only way I can exist is if she exists.
Why is it always this way? Can't we just cut out the bad parts?
As you are having this conversation with her and you get to that line, you open your eyes and you notice that Lady Naladri is standing there in the room with you. And she has a knife in her hand. It doesn't look like a real physical knife. She's got what looks like a spiritual knife. And she walks up to the cage that you're in, and your hands are bound, so you're unable to really do much. And she takes the knife and she just kind of caresses your chin with it. And she says, "Oh, to wait is such torture. When that soul tether is finally severed, I will have you. And I'll be free." And then we cut back to you guys in the castle. And we have Daniel with Sir Remshel coming into the castle running, basically, to come to you guys. And they're stopped by the guards, but you guys all notice them come in. And you're like, no, they're with us. They're with us. They can come in. And Daniel and Sir Remshel, they come.
They can help. Let them in.
Yes. And they allow them in. They allow them into your room with Terrask. And you get a private moment with them. And Daniel says, I've heard what's going on? How is he? What? He puts his hand on Terrask's head, and he looks to you guys for an explanation.
We don't know. We went down into what was it? It was under the library. We found.
Right.
Turns out, like I look at him, like it was a red dragon temple, and we fought something. Well, I guess we don't know. Do we know it's called the Temple Destroyer?
No.
No. So I kind of described to him as a giant
Tree.
a treant, pretty much.
Although you did read in the book that the guy, the old priest that was here, referred to them as these abominations, basically, that were sent to destroy temples. So you know that's what it was there for.
Did we take that book?
Yeah, well, this was a parchment, so I'm going to assume you took that parchment. Dane also has another book.
All right, so I start explaining to him, and I'm kind of like stuttering because I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And I just like pull the parchment and says, here, that's the thing. Read that, like, that's the thing that we fought. That was a Red Dragon Temple.
He actually go to hand it to him. He holds his hand up. He still has his hand on Terrask's forehead, and he holds his hand up as if to stop you from doing that. And he closes his eyes and he takes a breath in, and it looks like he clears himself. And then a moment passes, and Sir Remshul's just kind of standing next to the door with his arms crossed and his big two-handed sword jutting out of his back.
And he's a skeleton, right?
Yeah, except he has a shroud and a mask over his face so that you can't see that he is a skeleton, and not pantaloons, but large pauldrons, and he's got enough stuff to cover up any bones.
Golden pantaloons.
and Daniel will say he'll open his eyes slowly, and he says, "This isn't something physical. This is something spiritual." You all
they perked up.
You all must come with me. You all must come with me back to my bookstore. We have to go now.
Oh, okay. I'm kind of like look over.
With us?
Okay.
We need to take him with us.
He says, "Yes, Terrask needs to come with us."
Alright, so we look at the doctors like...
Yeah, the physicians are like, there's nothing more we can do here. If there's something that you think you can do better, then take him. He's yours.
Okay, let's go.
Yep, let's do it.
Okay.
So yeah, Korak...
Let's grab Bernie.
Yeah, the guards will carry him to the door, and then when they get to the door, you just kind of probably hold your arms out and slump him over your back and everything, and you're able to carry him. You guys make haste. It's not a very far walk from the Grand Library to his bookstore, and when you get there, he quickly puts some things down, puts a bag down, hits a stone in the wall, and that familiar door slides open, and you guys make your way down into the room that you've been a few times before. He will instruct Korak to lay Terrask out on the table, and he'll instruct Sir Remshul to stand at the base of the stairs, and then he'll look at all of you and he will say, okay, we can do this. We're ready, right? We can do this. Okay.
Kind of look at him. I'm like, ready for what?
He says, this may be the moment you all have to face Lady Naladri. And he's like, yeah. So anyways, Terrask's spirit is not in this body. And he's trying to explain this as quickly as he can so he can get to his point. He's like, when a person's spirit leaves their body, if the body is still alive, there's a tether that connects the soul to the body. They are together. And when a person's body dies, that tether is severed, and the soul is supposed to be free to, many people talk about where they might go, but that's neither here nor there. We know where it is now. And where his soul, where his spirit is now, is with the lady in her domain. I didn't see him, but I came across that same shroud that Mumaro spoke of. And we have to enter the spirit realm and go get him. Yeah, and he looks a little bit like Doc Brown from Back to the Future by the time he's done with it.
So, how do we...
This is heavy.
How do we enter the spirit world?
He says, "Oh, we've done it before. Speaking of which, I have gifts for you, given to me from the Dragon Mumaro. You didn't think the only thing he gave us was jackets, did you?" And he says, if you remember,
Nice jackets.
if you remember when you entered the spirit realm, we've done it a few times to train and to...
That's right, yes, that's right.
And I was able to infuse you with some power because of your new marks. We have to do this. I will have to stay here and monitor each of your bodies and each of your tethers. And if I notice that the tether is becoming weak because you're beginning to perish in the spirit realm, I will be able to pull you down one at a time back into your body so that you don't perish. At least I should be able to do that. Seremchel is going to stand guard, right, Seremchel? And he nods. And then he like grabs his... He's like, "Oh, I left my bag upstairs. I tossed it on the... I'll be right back." And he runs off upstairs really quick. And you guys are left here.
While he runs off... While he runs off, I'm going to grab that book and examine it. The book that I got. I want to examine it further since I didn't really get a chance to.
Okay. I'll tell you what's in there in a second. What were you going to say, Caleb?
Okay.
I got one more, because I remember I rolled dice. I had 3 joints left. I used 2 of them.
Yes.
I'm going to take that last remaining one, and I'm going to put it in Terrask's hand. And I'll wrap his hand around it.
There's not any coins over his eyes yet.
I'll put it like between his 2 fingers like that.
And Korak, do you have anything you're doing prior to him coming back down the stairs?
How would I know we've been in the spirit realm before, but how does my physical body health affect my mental or spiritual body health?
So what I'm going to say for the sake of the story, I think I want you all to be at full kind of spiritual endurance, which is you're just going to have full hit points.
Okay.
But what I want you to do instead of using your normal hit points is take the maximum of your willpower and your, luck dice pools added together to form your spiritual health.
And is there anything we can add to that?
Yes, concentration or meditation, things that relate to that kind of thing.
So we add the luck and willpower to the pools together.
That's right. So if you have like a 3d6 in willpower and a 2d6 in luck, then you've got 5d6.
Okay.
That means you've got 30 hit points.
I got 66.
Okay, so you got 36 hit points.
Okay. I'm going to be one of the lower ones on this one. I'm 2 above my current physical health, which isn't good.
Which is at half.
It's like, my physical and spiritual health are exactly the same.
Okay. He comes rushing back down the stairs. As you guys
You're going to give me the info on the book.
That's right. When you crack open the book, do you remember the name of the book that I gave you? Because I don't think I wrote it down. And I haven't watched the episode. Actually, no, we lost the episode.
No, I don't have that. I have some of the spells that we got. There was a protection from fire spell,
that's
fire
in a
bane.
ring.
Oh, that was the ring.
Mhm.
Then we had a wand of fire creation. This wand once per day can create an object out of fire that lasts for 4 hours.
Mhm.
We also got 2 scrolls. A scroll of spell guard, which applies to any spell. A scroll of divine evil, which I guess is kind of a detect evil mat.
Yep, I've
detect
got all
spell.
that. I've got all that. I just needed to know the name of the book.
If I don't have anything on the spell book.
All I have is that it is a researcher's notebook. I didn't write down a title.
Okay, researcher's notebook. Because I'm trying to think where my mind was at. I know what. Okay, hold on. Because you found the pen.
I just have my inventory. Yeah, I have the quill pen.
Found the dagger too.
Here we go. Okay, I got it. There's a bound book in much better condition. This book is a researcher's notebook detailing various beneficial components used in magic. So basically, you look in the core rule book of like all of the different components that you can use in spells, and that it's not an exhaustive list, but it has a lot of those things in it. You know, you can use a basilisk eye to increase your power of this, that, and the other thing. But then it also contains the secret of fire, which you'll have to spend at least an hour or two studying in order to have as a secret that you've learned. So
actually, I already have that secret.
Then anybody else who reads it, anybody else who reads it will gain the secret of fire from this book, and you know that. So Dane's over here like, hey guys, if you read this, you can learn the secret of fire. And Korak's like probably meditating or something, and Ishtar's like putting a joint in Terrask's hand, and you're just like, oh yeah, cool, hey, awesome. And then Daniel comes rushing back down the stairs, and he says, I got it. What did I send him back upstairs for again?
His bag.
Yeah, what was in his bag?
Stuff that
the things that he needed. Yes. He says he gets back down there, and he you hear the door close and everything, and he says, "You good, Sir Remshel?" And he puts his hand on his shoulder, and Sir Remshel just nods. And then Daniel will place you all around the table, and he will wait until everybody's ready, and he will close his eyes and enter the spirit realm, and then he will walk over to Korak first and pull you out of your body, and there you are standing. You have all of your equipment. You are for all intents and purposes, you just look at yourself and you're just ever so slightly translucent. Like it's difficult to see through both layers of your arm, but if you turn your arm sideways, you can kind of see through like one layer of it, right? Okay.
You see Ishtar kind of like
yes, and then he walks over to Ishtar and he pulls you out, and he walks over to Dane and pulls you out, and then he'll line the three of you up, and he walks over to Korak first, and he kind of unfurls a scroll that he has, and actually I'm trying to think of it'd be cool if he in spiritual form walks over to the bag that his physical body is sitting next to with these scrolls kind of exposed out, and he walks over to it and he picks up the physical scroll and opens it up and looks at it. Nope, wrong one. Picks up another one and says, yes, okay. And he chants some words, and as he does it, he touches the mark on your shoulder, pulls it out from you, and it just kind of grows a little bit bigger. It seems to burn white hot, and he speaks these words, and it kind of just glows a little bit brighter, and the scroll just kind of dissipates into this ball, and then he takes both of his hands, he compresses it down, and then pushes it back into your shoulder, and it burns for just a moment, but you can now do strike through stone twice a day.
Okay.
He will go over. Nice. He'll go over to Ishtar, and the same thing happens. Pulls out a scroll, pulls out your mark, speaks the scroll into the mark, compresses it, pushes it into your shoulder, And you can now do Cacophonous Blast twice a day, or you can do it once per day and increase the damage to 4d6 and the blast push by up to 15 feet. So you can spend both charges to make it a bigger blast, or you can do the regular blast 2 times.
Let's do the one big blast.
Yeah, well, it's not a choice you have to make now. It's a choice that you make when you use it. Yeah, it's 2 charges, essentially. And then he walks over to Dane, who doesn't have a mark yet. Who probably wants one more than anyone here, and everything. And he walks over to you, and he doesn't have a scroll for you, but instead he will put his hand on you, much like he did the first time, and you feel an energy come from him into you, and essentially he'll give you a permanent bonus of +1 to your melee and ranged defense, in the form of a sort of spiritual aura that you will carry around with you for as long as you live. So he's given you some of his power.
Okay, and does that actually, if that +1 puts me beyond the maximum, does it still count?
Then yes, it'll still count. That's a... Okay. Yes. If you're at your max, then it'll take it above that always. It's always +1. Yep.
Okay, but it's to my melee and ranged defenses.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And so he steps back and he takes the 3 of you in and he says, okay. And he turns around and he holds his hand out and he closes his eyes, and you see this, like, some crackles of what look like lightning, but they're white and they're silent. And then, like, this portal just opens up there, and it looks like a rip through reality. And he kind of just, like, forces it open from a few feet back with his hands telepathically, and this portal opens, and you can see it leads into this spirit, another plane, basically, where he says, okay, this is where you'll find Terrask. I can't get you right to where he's at. I have to put you somewhere outside of their shroud that they've created. But this is where he is at, and you need to go get him.
Okay. Squirt leaps through.
All right. Adventure in the spirit zone. All right, so Ishtar walks up, and that's what he's literally saying now. He's like, all right, adventure in the spirit zone. Before I step in, I look back at Terrask, like his body, and says, don't get you out, buddy. And then I just literally jump in.
So, yeah, and Dane, I'm assuming you follow as well.
Of course.
So we switch back up to Terrask. Are you still there?
He's muted right at the moment.
Sir. No, yeah, sorry, my computer's a little slow. It takes me a second to get the mouse over it.
Yeah, no problem. So we switch back up to you, and you're now talking with Lady Naladri, and she will say to you, she'll say, you know, it doesn't have to be this way. My offer still stands, and it's been about, by your best guess, 8 to 10 hours since the last time you talked to her. It feels like that anyway. You're not sure if that's actually how long it's been. She says, my offer still stands. We join together, pay my soul debt, and give you power. I am free. You are more powerful than you've ever been. Why would you walk away from this?
And the choice gets easier to make every time. Look at you. You got me chained in this cage. You think I trust that it would be any different when I let you in my head? I may seem desperate, but I'm no fool.
Because we're not so different, you and me.
Yeah, and I wouldn't let me in my own head if I had the choice. So what does that say for you?
Her confident smirk fades when you say you wouldn't even let yourself in your own head. She says, have you no respect for yourself or for She just stands up and walks away and turns her back to you, takes a few steps forward, and she says, she pauses for a moment, and even if you're still speaking, saying something, she's not listening. She says, "Oh, it appears your friends are here. It looks like they wanted to come and see you." And she walks back over to you, and she opens up another window portal where you can look down and see Korak, Ishtar, and Dane both beginning to make their way towards a large ethereal staircase that makes its way up into this area that is darkened in this incomprehensibly black void. And then she says, "Too bad they'll never make it here." And then you see, as there are these 3 figures that look like living nightmares. I don't know how else to put it. They just look like these ghasts, these floating ghosts that are making their way towards your 3 friends. And she says, "This will be fun to watch. Again, I can stop this anytime."
And Terrask kind of gets a very, like, hyper-confident face, like, smirking, and he looks at her and he says, "If those are really my friends, and they're here, then you're in a lot of trouble." But as she kind of turns her face away from me, he kind of, like, pales, and you would see him, like, mouth, like, "Oh, what are you doing?" That was a poker face. That's what the attempt was.
Make a charisma bluff check.
Don't do that one often. Okay, so that's just charisma then. I certainly don't have bluff. Let me see. Do I have anything for that? No, I don't think so. Okay. And the luck die. And I'll roll the first one that I get to roll, so that's a total of 6 for those. And then I'm going to actually roll just 1 luck dice. And that's a 5. So it's a total of 11.
Okay. I'm gonna say that it works, but she is not convinced at all by what you say. She is only convinced that you have confidence in your friends, and you have not swayed her at all.
Yeah. Well, I didn't expect her to shake in her boots and go running, so...
Oh no, your Wensies are here. We cut back to the 3 of you, and as you guys are making your way through this realm, you can see this large ethereal staircase that winds up slowly, a very gradual wind, up into this space that is just completely covered in this black that looks... I mean, I don't know how to describe how black it is. I mean, it's just straight up black, like black. It's like void almost. And as you guys are walking along, make perception tests for me.
Hey, that's much better.
15 for me.
Okay.
19, 21.
And Tony, I didn't hear what you had gotten.
26.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, so we're this area of just utter dark, right?
No, this place itself is actually fairly well lit. You're not in complete darkness right now.
Well, I mean the shroud.
Yeah, the shroud appears to be made. If you want to know what it is made of, you can make a logic, and I could be convinced of either religion or something akin to arcana. Like, well, actually, this would be just magic.
I'll go ahead and use the luck die just to help my chances, because I have an idea one was used to try to get this working, but drop die. Reroll it. 17.
Yes, you know that this is made out of void magic.
Void magic, okay.
At least that's the secret used.
Okay. So I was going to say, is that same as Secret of Shadow, but probably not.
Nope, it's the secret of void.
Okay. I am going to.
Okay. Korak and Ishtar, you guys notice flits of movement out in front of you. And you can see that there are these things approaching you. They seem almost ethereal in nature, but there's definitely something coming towards you. 3 of something coming towards you.
Heads up. Incoming.
Now. Okay, I'll wait.
Yeah, they will draw in closer. And they will move to about... I'm going to say... about 30 feet out. And then they stop. And there are these 3 apparitions. And Dane, you can see this now too. And if I can copy and paste the picture of this, then I will. If you've been on the What's Old is New website, Bestiary, you're going to be familiar with this picture. I'm not suggesting you go there, however. Just that this picture you may have seen before. I'm going to paste it here. And these things are just kind of staring at you from a distance. Before they act, I want to roll initiative.
Add 1d6, guys.
Okay. $25.
Okay.
6 is what? 18.
17.
So 25 for Korak, 18 for Ishtar, and then 17 for Dane.
Yep.
Okay, and then for these guys, I'm going to roll 1 for each. Oh my gosh, and oh my gosh, they are totally going first.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's just probably 12d6 or something like that.
No, it's not that crazy. But they were just all 3 of them really good rolls. So we're just gonna say, and 1, and 2, and 3, and so first up is I'm gonna say the one that is kind of juxtaposed in front of Korak. And you see this thing and it's just staring at you. And you see it take the form, and it slowly transforms into Locrius. But not the Locrius as you saw him when you battled him this last time, as a blue monster. But instead as him after you dealt that nasty blow coming up across his side and into his face. And it's just completely mangled and absolutely gross. And the creature here is going to make a mental attack on you. He's assuming a nightmare, and as he does, he will taunt you in Locreus's voice, and he says, "You couldn't kill me again if you tried." And he gets a 25 against your mental defense.
Yes.
Okay. So Korak, this absolutely enrages you, and you are enraged. So if you pull open, you don't have to, but if you were to pull open the conditions errata, then you would see that enraged is the second bullet point on anger. And essentially what it means is you go into a blind rage, and you, on your turn, must attack the closest thing to you.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Yes. So, who is standing next to Korak? In my mind's eye, I had it as Ishtar, but I think I should probably make it Dane.
I mean, the order we jumped in the portal, I would have been next. I would have been second.
Okay. Yeah.
I was third.
Yeah, so Ishtar, you are closest to Korak. That is that nightmare's turn. It is standing there taunting Korak, and Korak, this enragement just comes over you. Of course, you'll get a chance to try to shake that off at the beginning of your turn, but for now, you are absolutely enraged. Ishtar, the creature in front of you turns into Yasha, and she's very scantily clad, very looking very seductive, and
Going for a charm.
and then this thing will it's making a mental attack on you, so it's going to be 8d6 again. I mean, it's going to be this roll, like it's a 30. Oh, it crits with a 31.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
And it says, you know, you really weren't that good that night, don't you? And and so you are dazed. So that means you are now, you only have one action per turn. You're just like, what? And like, this is completely taking you off guard. And then Dane, in front of you, the creature turns into you. It turns into you.
Okay.
And it pulls a blade out and starts carving it into its own self. And it just is staring at you dead-eyed, and it's just gutting yourself.
Okay.
It's going to make a mental attack, and it gets a 27. Yes, so you become afraid. Why didn't that PDF open up?
Okay, so I become afraid, and that means for me...
Well, since the other two were just the first bullet points, I'm going to say that Korak, yours was just the first bullet point as well. So it's not that you must attack the nearest foe. But that you cannot take any non-attack actions other than moving directly towards an enemy. Okay. So Korak is fixated on this, and it's really carving into your most primal of instincts to just attack on someone who is mocking and taunting you. Dane, your first bullet point here is you cannot approach the source of your fear, so you're just kind of like dumbfounded. You don't want to go and like hit yourself. This thing is like, oh my gosh, it's just creepy as all get out. And that is their turns. So then we go over to Korak. Okay. So you have two choices. You can either roll to shake off, or you can move, and either one of those in any order that you want.
Right. Now you said 30 feet away?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and try to shake this off.
Just a 4, 5, or 6.
And I got a 4.
Okay. All right, you shake the rage off, and you gain your senses back. Your training and your focus on being a Knight of the White Flame kicks in. And you're like, no, I can't let this happen.
And so I will move up to it, and I guess attack next time.
Okay, Ishtar's up.
All right. Now, if I stay dazed, can I, instead of shaking off, can I do one action?
Yes, you still have one action per turn.
All right. Then I think my first thing should be is I start. Oh, I guess my action would be pulling out my loot, wouldn't it? Is that going to count?
No, that's a free action. Pulling something out or putting something back is a free action. But the only thing you can't do is pull something out or put something away and then pull something out. Both as free actions. You just couldn't do that. You'd have to use an action to do the. Yeah.
So I guess I'm a little wobbly. Can't really see straight. I pull out my loot and I start playing what did I use for this? Oh, it was the Flight of the Valkyries and the Imperial March hybrid. It's my I can do the first step of the courage track. Yeah. So I can hit the first step of the courage track, which is bravery, and that gives the mental defense bonus.
That's +4, right?
+4 to mental defense, and that's
nice.
And I'm still, like you see me, I'm kind of like, probably doesn't sound as good as Ishtar usually plays, but it is working.
Fantastic. So you all hear his song of hope and determination, and you feel steeled against these nightmares that are forming in front of you. Dane, you're up.
I'll take my action and make like Taylor Swift and shake it off. And I got it. Rolled a 3, and I get +1 with my enduring.
Okay.
Wait, just got that actually.
So read what's enduring? Oh, any attempt to shake something off. Okay.
Shake off. Yep.
All right.
So that's I'm only allowed one action. No, that just keeps me from. I'm just not allowed to approach him. But now that I've broken that, I am going to approach.
Yes,
and prepare myself for an attack.
Yep. So you shake it off, and you're able to run ahead and make your attack if you so choose next turn. Don't forget, folks, that you can spend luck dice on extra actions. But now we're moving back to the first nightmare. And Korak, as you come bounding towards this thing, probably with your spear out or something, you see it suddenly transform into that little boy that you met in Oddwald, who made you a little stuffy before you left and ran out, and you trained with him a little bit. And it just kind of looks up at you innocently and says, please don't hurt me, Mr. Korak. And this thing makes another mental attack against you, and it's a crit with a 37.
Oh my god.
So it is going to... I'm going to say with that crit, it actually stuns you. It full-on stuns you. So it's dazed, both bullet points. You cannot take any actions. As it just... it stops you in your tracks. And you're not about... Like, your instinct is to not kill a child. You know? Yeah. As you see this, as you run up to it. The second nightmare will take advantage of that opportunity and will come over to you as you are basically completely helpless and just take its hand, and it glows with a blue glow, and it just thrusts it out, and you see the other two of you can see these, they look like psychic darts come flying out of its fingers. And it deals... Oh, where'd that go? Over next to my hard drive. deals... Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I really want to re-roll it, but I'm not going to. It's 3 psychic damage. Soak won't apply.
No. Okay.
But that's its first action. Its second action, it's going to do it again. With its other hand. That's better. 8 psychic damage with bypassing Soak. So that was the one that was focusing on Ishtar. And then the last one... Dane, as you come running towards it, it turns into your former fiance, and it will, basically the same situation as Korak, and you know, she kind of turns around and flits her hair, happens in slow motion, and she's like, Dane, is that you? And it makes a mental attack against you for a 21.
Misses.
Okay, you see through this, and as you see through it, you see the decay on her face, and you can see through this illusion completely. It does not faze you one bit. You're like, no, I know you're not her. As that happens, we go back up to Terrask. Rory, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, as Lady Naladri chuckles at watching what is going on with your friends down there, the voice of the little girl reappears in your mind, and she says, I think I've got one hand free. If you think you can distract her, I might be able to get to her.
So, lady, convince me.
She slowly turns back around and she says, convince you?
I don't want them to die for me.
She'll smirk. Make another, well, no, not yet. That wouldn't really, she's really intrigued by what you're saying. So, she will say, well, if you're going to die anyway, you might as well join with me and live much, much longer. Because otherwise you won't live at all. I'll simply consume you and use your soul to pay my soul debt.
Now, you say you can give me power. What kind of power?
She says, my son, and she caresses your cheek, she says, the power to create planes of existence. If you want to be alone, you can be alone forever in your own fortress of your own making.
And he honestly gets lost in the thought as she's talking. And he says, almost alone though, right?
She says, my son, I really don't think that you understand. I would be part of you, but not any more than I already am. You are already part of me, aren't you?
He would get a smirk, and then he would just say, tell me, what if I found or had another way?
Make a charisma bluff check.
It's Ishtar's specialty.
Okay, so it was a total of 6 on my 2d6s. I rolled a luck dice, which exploded.
Ooh.
So I got a total of 12, and then on the second roll, I got a 4.
So 16.
Yeah, that's the total.
She says, she looks up contemplatively and she says, go on. Kind of like Jafar did when Jasmine was, she's like, go on.
Well, you said it had to be me because related.
Mm-hmm.
But what if I had a child?
She says, are you a father? Am I a grandmother? She looks at her hands. She's like, I'm not old enough to be a grandmother. Do you have a child, Terrask? I must know.
Would it change this?
Said it depends. Would you be willing to sacrifice your own child?
Did say we were like the village that you left me.
She gets a pained look. She gets a pained look when you say that.
There were many pretty elves there. Perhaps not bright, but pretty enough.
She steps back and she says, she just goes silent. She doesn't seem to want to continue on this train of thought any further. Something you said got to her. After you had mentioned, we are more alike than I think, aren't we? In response to her asking you if you wanted to sacrifice your own child. And then you mentioned the village, and that just seemed to be too much for her. And she kind of steps back and appears to be watching through the portal again. Then she turns back around to you very slowly with this rage in her eyes. She says, perhaps I'll just consume you now and be done with it. I don't care if your soul is still tethered to your body. I'll sever it myself. And she takes out that knife. And then we go back to the combat, where it is Korak's turn.
Okay. So, now I can't take any actions, but can I still shake it off?
Oh, yes. Yep. You can always shake it off.
6.
There you go. Yeah, with that 6-2, I'll say that's great. I'll give you an action.
Okay. So,
And by the way, when you shake that off, it no longer looks like that child anymore. It reassumes the shape of this living nightmare.
Okay. So I'm bringing on the smite.
Perfect.
Yeah. And that is 21.
Hit.
Okay. And so, do I need to differentiate the holy
Nope.
damage?
It's all holy damage.
Okay.
And by the way, your camera is a little bit out of focus.
Oh, did it again, huh? Okay, so
Life's so much better with sound effects.
oh, nice. 16, 18. 19, 20, 21. And
Wow.
22 points of damage.
22. Okay. You cut off basically half of it. You sever it into two pieces, one piece larger than the other, and the smaller piece dissipates into nothingness. And the rest of the half of it is still there, seemingly not caring that half of it is gone now.
Okay, I will take one of my... Why is this doing this tonight?
It says no.
I will take one of my luck die
Okay.
and take a second strike.
Okay.
So that is 10, 15, 21, 23.
Hit.
Okay.
So your first slice goes upwards and cuts it in half. The second one, you're following back through.
13. 16 on that one.
Yes, you cut this part of it in half, and both of those halves now dissipate, and the this living nightmare is now completely gone.
Okay. So I get my luck die back.
Fantastic. All right. Well played. Well played. Ishtar, you are up.
All right. Now I'm going to try and shake it off. And I have enduring, so I just need to get 3 or higher. I got a 4. Okay.
Okay.
Now I have 1 action left, right?
You do.
I get what?
You do. You have 1 action left. Yep.
All right. Now, Ishtar is leery now because of what happened last fight. Is there any way... And normally I wouldn't try and do it like this. Would he be able to figure out, like he pulls out his lute, wants to play a song, but would he know if this would affect these things?
Make a logic test and convince me of a skill that might contribute to his knowledge of this subject matter. You're a minstrel. You might be pretty versed in this kind of thing. Of creatures, of tales.
Local knowledge?
No.
I got nothing.
You got nothing in history, religion?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Alright, then just straight logic.
Oh, actually not bad. 14.
You're fairly confident, you're not 100% sure, but you're fairly confident that these things, that the nature of the beast that absorbed your magic before was more because of the way it was created, and that these things won't absorb your magic. You're not sure if they're going to be affected by your magic, but you're fairly certain that they won't absorb it and become stronger by it, because that seemed to be a design built into that creature that you felled under the temple.
Alright, so then for my 1 action, I will start playing the song on the, what tracks are called? The cheer track.
Okay.
To hit, what's it called? Jolly. So I gotta beat their mental defense. Well, if it'll work, I gotta beat their mental defense.
Good lord.
You want to try to make them both laugh?
This isn't a laughing one, but this might buy some time.
Okay.
10, 16, 20, 23.
They hiss at you.
Does that mean
They are unaffected by cheer. They seem the most uncheerful creatures you've ever seen.
Well, what Jolly does, if I hit them, they can't attack for a whole minute.
Right, but their mental defense is 32.
Oh.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
I haven't hit that. Okay.
That's going to require a few luck dice.
Yeah, well. Alright, so that was his turn.
Okay, you've shaken it off. Yes, that also means you're going to be less vulnerable to being hit by them on their turn. So then we go to Dane.
All right.
And you have both your actions.
I want to do 2. Yes, and I want to go. Straight unarmed attack with Elemental Fist. So my first attack uses feint, so 76 to attack. I could use a crit right about now. Oh, 2 6s. 6, 12, 15, 16, 19, 21, 25.
Melee defense? Yes, that's a hit.
Okay. Let's see, I do 3d6 plus 2 blunt plus heat. 13 points on that one.
Okay, hold on. So this isn't really a retcon, but it's something that you discover about what Daniel had done to you. So not only did it increase your defense, and you felt that immediately, but now you're noticing that your strikes, they hit with this divine justice. So basically all of your strikes do holy damage as a damage type. They don't do any extra damage, but your strikes do holy damage on top of whatever other types of damage that they do. So go ahead and roll your damage for that.
That it was 13 points.
13, yes.
Sorry, 15 actually. 15, sorry.
Yes, you bash into it and you start to feel your fist go through it, and you're like, oh no, I'm not connecting with anything. But then it lights up with this holy power that you've never seen before. And you realize that as part of what Daniel did, you recognize it immediately because you've never seen this before. And your fist passes through it, and then it connects, and you feel this crunch.
Holy power, Batman.
Second attack. Exactly. This one may not be so good. 19.
Hit.
Wow, okay. $12 points of damage.
You said 13 the first time?
15 the first time, 12 the second time.
Close enough. It just explodes into, and it dissipates. It technically had 1 hit point left, but no. So it just you give it 1 strike and then an uppercut or maybe an elbow or something, and it just dissipates into nothingness. And then we're back at the top with that one last nightmare, and it kind of has its hands like up like this, and it's like, and it just vanishes away.
Wink.
And then it stabs you in the back. No, I'm just kidding. But so then we go back up to Terrask, and actually, no, you guys are close enough. I'm going to assume you guys continue up to the stairs and up to where you think Terrask is at.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much once the nightmare is gone, I guess like look around, make sure like it's not like right above me or something. Then
Yeah.
I'll start up the stairs.
Yeah, it's completely gone. It just dissipated. It ran away. It pussed out for sure. And yeah, you guys make your way up these stairs. It's very surreal.
Can I keep a song going on the lute to keep up that mental defense?
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to keep stringing a tune to keep our mental defense up.
Certainly. And you could even, I would go as far as to say that you could do, if you've got both tracks on courage, if you've got that as an exploit that you can do that, then you guys would get both tracks of courage.
Oh, the immunity to fear.
Yes.
Nice.
So, very good. Yes, you guys have +4 mental defense and immunity to fear.
The only thing is that takes both my action. Well, I guess we're not really in combat, so.
Yeah, you're just gallivanting along. and just kind of walking and playing a song. And it is uplifting and sets the tone. What would otherwise be a very dreadful walk up these stairs is now very hopeful. And, we might actually do this. And as you guys are making your way up the stairs, we cut back to Terrask, who has just watched your friends. She actually cut off the mirror when she saw the first one die. And she scowls. And when she turns back to you, she does not look like that same beautiful woman that you had seen before. I do have a picture to share of how she looks when she turns back to you. And she has this look in her eyes of absolute rage. And this is how she looks.
Creepy.
Yes, and she takes...
Definitely not the same look as before.
No, and she takes the knife away, and she says, now in a slightly different voice, she says, I might not be able to eat your soul yet, but I can make sure I'm ready when I do. And she will begin to kind of breathe you in. She's like, and you can feel like it feels like the air around you is getting pulled in, and like you feel like you are getting pulled into her, and she's just trying to get a taste of you. And as soon as she does, she is repulsed backwards, and she there's kind of a little bit of a poof, and she's like, oh, what is this? And she appears right in front of you, and she grabs a hold of your shoulder, and she tears this ethereal shirt off, and she looks at your shoulder, and the mark on your shoulder is shining brightly. She's she hisses at it when she sees it, and then she makes eye contact with you, and she says, what is this?
The mark of an old fool, but I guess it works on other more foolish.
She ravenously looks back down to your shoulder, and she pulls out that knife she had, and she stabs it into your shoulder and begins carving out the area around this mark.
Oh!
And just...
Can I headbutt her?
You can. Go ahead and make a melee attack. It'll be without your sword skill or anything. Yeah.
So it's just agility?
Yeah.
Do you have brawling?
I don't think I have brawling.
You're like, judo headbutt. Huh.
Do you have brawling or unarmed?
No, I don't. So it's just going to be agility. Maybe plus... I have one. And I get them back. Kill. Alright.
Let's say here's your chance to blow some luck dice.
Luck die did not explode, but it was a 5. So it's going to be a total of 19.
Okay, you start to make some headway. You rear your head back and you start to go like that, but then you're repulsed backwards. And you can't do it, and your shoulder is still held there, so you feel your body kind of contort in a weird way as your head is getting pushed back one way, and your shoulder is being held still as she just continues to carve and carve and carve until she finally has this, and she takes her hand and she tries to grab it, and it burns her hand and she can't touch it. And then she will she'll look over to a shelf that seems to appear in this blackness of this room out of nowhere, and she reaches her hand out and summons a glass jar over to her hand, and it king, and then she will use her other hand and form kind of this translucent / black bubble around it as she pulls your mark out of your shoulder and then places it into this jar. And then as she watches it goes in, and it bling, and it's like this chunk of flesh with your mark on there. You got the searing pain on your shoulder, and Ishtar, Dane, and Korek, you guys can hear. You feel like you can hear something from your bodies where you're tethered to, and you feel like you can hear this absolute horrible scream coming through to you here. And we see her just kind of put the lid on this jar, and she just pushes the jar away, and it disappears into darkness, sitting back on some shelf somewhere that disappears again. Terrask, you've been dealt some damage, but when you look over at your shoulder, you can see that the area that she carved out, it isn't... The flesh returns slowly. It seems to just kind of reappear as though an image coming back into focus. But when it does, your mark is no longer there. So, you've been damaged, but that spot comes back because it's a spiritual kind of thing that's happening. She hasn't physically carved out something, although it felt like it. And then as soon as she finishes doing that and she comes back to you, I want you to make for me a willpower test. And if you have concentration or meditation or anything like that, this was a very traumatic experience that you just had. And the tether to your body is... You can feel it weakening. You can feel your body wanting to give up. You can feel this tether wanting to just sever itself. And I need you to make a willpower test for me.
D6. 13.
Okay. You manage to steel yourself long enough to stay here. You're kind of blinking really hard, and you're like, oh, and your vision is blurred, and all you can see is this horrible looking face in front of you. And then you hear a commotion. You hear the sound of footsteps approaching. Korek, Ishtar, Dane, as you guys get to the top of the stairs, you come into this room where it seems like there's a spotlight in the middle of it, and you see this wretched beast standing in front of your friend Terrask, who is dazed and has his hand on his shoulder and is just kind of struggling to maintain consciousness, it seems. And she darts her eyes towards you. Everybody make perception tests. Even you, Terrask. Terrask, I'm going to give you a negative D6.
$10.
20.
21.
Dane, your staff is lit up.
Oh, yeah, I know. I figured it would be.
And Terrask, I just want to know your roll.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought they were...
Yeah, just take a negative D6 on your perception test, yeah.
10.
Okay, Korek and Ishtar, you notice, of all things that you've seen here, you've seen some pretty terrible shit. This place is awful. It feels like hell. You see a lovely little girl, who appears to be sneaking along the side of a wall, and she too has a very dim spotlight on her, as she is just kind of slowly, and then she sees you guys come up, and she looks, you see her look closely, and you see her take a finger up to her mouth, and just says,
Ishtar is literally...
yeah, it's very bizarre. It's very bizarre. The lady looks at you and she says, Here to save your friend? Well, and she turns back to Terrask and she says, well, it's the first time anyone's ever done anything for him.
Hey, you haven't met us yet. That's literally, I like walk out my arm. Hey, you haven't met us yet.
Roll initiative.
Oh, not good.
Again, plus 1d6.
I'm gonna need that.
Terrask,
Yes.
join in on this initiative roll as well.
Wow.
With a negative
That
1d6.
1d6. That extra 1d6 helped big time. 20. I rolled a 6 on that extra
16.
d6.
Nice.
30.
Nice.
Why do I always do this?
Dane, what did you say you got? 13?
16.
16, and then Korak?
30.
30, good heavens. Okay.
13.
13.
You roll sixes or something?
I rolled 3 of them.
Okay,
Plus
Nice.
5s and 4s.
she moves with this unnatural alacrity that, you had initially thought those nightmares were very stealthy and moved quite quickly, but that was nothing compared to how quickly she now moves. And she basically disappears from in front of Terrask and reappears in front of Dane. And she is going to reach her hand out and attempt to grab your face.
Don't let her do that.
Try.
She gets a 32 on her melee attack.
I think she did.
Succeed.
Okay, her hand just jumps forward with this lightning speed, and then you see and feel within a moment her hand just light up, and this blast go off in your face, and it does 19 points of damage, no soak, and it sends you flying backwards against the wall.
Wow.
Against the wall. Next up is Korak.
How far back did it knock me?
I'm going to call it 10 feet.
Okay. If it was supposed to knock me prone, I get right back up with my roll with it.
Okay, good. Yeah, it did knock you prone, but you're back to your feet as you recover. And then Korak, you see this happen in an instant.
Okay. So
I'm sorry, quick stand.
I am going to. I can do 2 exploits on the same
Actually, you know what?
attack rate.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Russell.
Reduce damage by 2d6. I'm rolling with it. By voluntarily falling prone, I reduce damage by 2d6. And I'll stay prone.
Okay, I'll allow it. So it's going to be -7, so 12 damage.
Okay.
We'll say part of that was getting smashed into a wall, and you were able to kind of brace yourself for that. Yeah, Tony, as long as they aren't 2 different things that need to be activated. Like if one thing is, this, I can activate this ability and then I can do this. So basically explain to me what you want to do.
Well, I was going to use my smite because I can do it once per enemy, and then I was going to strike through stone.
Absolutely, you can do both.
Okay.
Yep.
So it'll ignore soak and do an extra d6 holy damage. And I critted. I got
Yes.
2 6s, so that's 10,
Nice.
20, 25. But, okay. So then that's going to be 5d6.
As you guys watch Korak charge up with this strike, there seems to be this area around him that, for a moment, this darkness in this room seems to recede from. It seems to just be repulsed by his charge up of this strike, and then it all transfers into him to the end of his spear, and he directs it all right into this creature in front of you.
Okay, and that is 10, 15, 16, 17. That's 20 right there. One die exploded. 22 damage.
Okay, your spear comes down and gashes her across the shoulder, down the side, and it leaves this kind of gaping spot where it seems like there's some kind of air coming out of it, but nothing really is coming out of it. And you hear this awful screech bemoan from her. I want everybody to make willpower tests as this. And this is going to be...
Can we add anything to it?
Yes, add from the...
Bravery?
No, a Korak's song he's been playing, not Korak, Ishtar's song he's been playing, add a +4 to the end of your roll.
Okay, so it's just straight up willpower?
No, you guys are immune to fear.
Yeah.
That's... Yeah. I mean,
So, yeah, this happens, and you've been steeled from this. It washes past you guys. Terrask, you have not, so I need you to make a willpower test for me.
Ooh, 6.
Okay, yeah, you're with just having your mark carved out of you and this moan coming from her, you're terrified, and you want to get as far away from her as you can, and you can't move fast enough. You're restrained, and it's very, very uncomfortable.
What's going on?
Yeah, and then we're over. Actually, no, that's Korak's first action. He has another one.
I have 2. That's a regular crit. I got 3 6s on that one.
Yeah.
Woo! I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy.
I did not explode on any of those, but that is 10, 18, 21.
Okay,
damage.
now, is this... So you can only use Smite once as your first strike, and then it dissipated as it went into her. The second strike is a normal one, right?
Yes.
All right, this one passes through her. As though nothing happened.
Okay. That's not good.
All right.
Because I can't do my smite again. Do I think that strike through stone would work, or would I think it would go right through her again?
You think it has Korak thinks it has a better chance of working than a normal hit does, for sure.
Okay, yeah. So I will use that on my third strike.
Yep.
And I critted again. Double 6s. 10, 15, 16, 23 hit.
Yep.
So, hit. And then my 46 plus 3. And I did not do that well that time. So that's 13, 16 points of damage, but ignores soak.
Right, she'll take 8 of that as your strike comes through, and you charge back up with your strike through stone, and it starts to pass through her just like your other one. So let's say your first strike, you charged up, and it was like a big uppercut with like the back end of the spear, and then you flung it around over your head, and you tried to cleave her in half with your second one. It went right through, and then you reposition your hands for a stab, right at the throat, and you hit, and you seem to catch something there as you pull it out. As part of her essence just kind of goes along with the spear, and she just is looking like, you know. And then we move over to Dane, who is back up to his feet and ready to act.
Okay. I guess I'm only going to get to 10-foot move is going to be considered I'm essentially going to move to flank.
Yeah, if you want to move behind her, you can dash over behind her, and then you'll still have one action to attack.
Okay. So that'll give me plus 1d6 with the flank, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm spending 2d6 to get another die of damage. Uh, 21.
Right. Something strange happens as you strike. She begins to shift out of the way, and you're about to miss. But then it feels to you like it happens in slow motion, that your hand is redirected and re-guided, as though someone from somewhere else, maybe Daniel from where he is at, is guiding your strikes. And you feel your fist turn almost against your will into her back. Her kind of like the back side of her rib. And this one is going to deal damage, but it's a glancing blow. So you're just going to deal half damage. So roll full damage, but we're going to take
whatever
that. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. 46 does 16, 17. So 17, then half rounded however.
I round down because I'm mean. So 8.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, so you again, just like with Korak, your fist lights up and you do this holy damage, and that holy part of it seems to carve through her back side there, and you see some of this ethereal essence just kind of dissipate as that's a hair. As your fist goes through her. Terrask, it is your turn.
I think you missed my turn.
I did. I skipped right over you. I went straight to Dane, and I missed Ishtar. I'm sorry, Ishtar. What is Ishtar doing as Dane is dashing?
Well, actually, this works perfect where I go right before Dane, then. I want to get, not flanking, but I want to move behind her.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm going to do my Cacophonous Blast. But I want to put her between me and Korak, so she'll take the blast instead of Korak.
Yeah, this is discerning, so you can carve it around your friends.
Oh, okay. Then I'll just stay where I am and do the blast.
Yep.
So you see Ishtar, he was playing his bravery song, and then you see him start to just go like that on his lute.
Power chord,
yep. And I'm going to do the big one.
Okay. I was hoping you might. So just make a max dice pool roll for you. So that's going to be either 7 or 8.
I thought it was 46 damage.
No, yeah. That's the damage, but you need to pass her vital defense to hit with it.
Oh, so it'll be a range attack probably, right?
Yeah, but for this, when you use this ability, I just have you roll your max dice pool.
Oh.
Yep.
So mine would be 5, 6, 7, 8.
Wait, what grade do you get 8 dice at?
11.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought it was by... Right,
no, there's a chart.
Oh, wait, no, I counted 7. I counted the urchin, which I don't count, so...
Yes, there is a chart for what grade you are, it determines what your max dice pool is. So
5, 6.
because it's not a 1-to-1 thing. It'd be easier if it was. Okay, so what grade is Ishtar?
So I got 5 minstrel, 2 burglar.
That's 7. And you do
One
count you do count your origin.
Okay, so 1 urchin and 1 herbalist.
Okay, so you've got a 76
That's
max
9.
dice pool.
So it's 7, okay.
Yep.
25, 30.
Roll your damage.
That's 12 damage.
Okay, she hisses as she gets blown back about, not the full amount, but she gets blown back about 5 or 10 feet, maybe about 8 feet. And she, and you see her body kind of vibrate as
Do I shatter anything?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
but just the sheer force of this blast is enough to send her reeling backwards and kind of blow a little bit of her essence away.
Okay.
And at this point, she's kind of looking around frantically. She's like,
So now this is when Dane kind of moves in the flank, does this thing. But what I want to do is I want to use the luck die, take another action.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much I'm going to use it to get another movement action to get over to Terrask.
Okay, so
He's on
He's
on like a table, right?
No, he is in a cage.
Okay, so I'll use that bonus action from the luck die to get over to that cage.
Yeah, you run up to him, and Terrask, it's your turn as Dane is punching her back. And Terrask, you see Ishtar running up towards you, and he gets there as you look up and you see him there. What does Terrask do?
He's gonna kind of look back. He's still a little, he's willpower fail essentially. And he's just like, I don't see a lock anywhere. Can you get me out of this thing?
I just got up there. I didn't really look at it yet, so.
Yeah, and you haven't had a chance because as this is happening, as Terrask is talking to you, that's basically going to be his action. He's like, I don't see a lock, and you're like, I don't see anything either. I don't know what to do. You feel Ishtar. You feel a hand, and then you look down, and you can feel it pierce through your stomach, and it comes out. Your other side, it comes through your back and out your stomach, and then it pulls his hand back through, and then all of a sudden you feel yourself pulled like you just got dropped out of a plane without a parachute. You're just like, and you're in midair all of a sudden, and before you know it, you are back, and you gently fall back down into your body, and you wake up. yeah, exactly. And you
so I got pulled out of the spirit realm. Okay.
Yeah, you see Daniel standing over you, with his eyes closed in deep meditation, but he has his hand on your head, and then you see him start to just kind of walk over to kind of in the middle of everybody, so he's within enough reach to hit the next person who might need to be pulled out. And so Terrask, you see Ishtar basically just vanish. You see the lady. So for all you know, she just killed him. She just tore his soul from his body. You don't know exactly what might have happened to him.
No!
I had more hit points in this form too, than my physical form.
I mean...
No, I know, yeah.
I'm not even going to roll the damage because it's an exercise in futility. She is this powerful. She just comes up behind you. It was her turn, top of the round. Terrask is, I don't know. I don't know. She would teleport behind you, make an attack roll from behind, basically trade in like 6 damage for dice 6 dice for damage and kill you. So in the instant that she was probably taking her second attack, Daniel pulls you out, brings you down to your
backstab.
Yep, exactly, and pulls you back down to your body, and you feel it. You feel like you just got like a blade.
The worst hangover ever.
Yeah, no, you feel like a piercing pain in your stomach, right where that happened, right in your back and in your stomach. You feel like you just had a sword run through you. But when you look down,
you know that feeling?
when you look down, you don't see anything there. You're normal. And then we call over to Korak, who Korak, you see, actually make a perception test, and I'll tell you what you see.
21, 24.
You see as Ishtar vanishes from this realm. You have a suspicion of what might have happened. You hope that Daniel got to him in time. But what you see is from the wall, that little girl is at a full sprint running towards this creature. And it happens in kind of slow motion. You hear her yell, "Help me!" And she's pointing to the creature, and she's running and everything. And it seems to be telling you that she wants help, that she needs help, and she's running and she's going to leap. What is Korak doing in this moment as she's running and starts to leap?
Okay, I will leap with her. And I mean, I will strike, but I don't know what I can do, because the last time I struck without any other ability, I was unable to.
Yeah, you know what? You don't even make an attack roll, because I'll tell you what happens. You're coming at the lady right now, and she's aware. She's aware of her realm. She knows what's going on. She did not see this little girl for some reason or another. Korak doesn't know, but she senses you coming towards her, and she turns kind of in this slow motion moment, and she turns around the wrong way and doesn't see the girl, but sees you coming at her with your spear. And everything, and she raises a hand quickly, and a sharp beam of energy just kind of juts out from her hand. And then before all of you, before Dane and Terrask, you see Korak disappear. At first, you see this shank, basically, of energy go through his stomach as he gets hit by this thing, and then he just kind of disappears, and he's not there anymore. And but in that moment, as he was running, charging in bravely, it allowed this little girl to land on the lady's back. And Dane, you're stuck in this circumstance, and you're like, you look around, you and Terrask are here, and you see her trying to fight this girl off. She seems almost incapable of doing. You've seen her do all these amazing things, but she seems like she's struggling to get this little girl off of her, as this little girl is just it seems like she's beginning to just kind of sink into her. She's sinking in slowly, but she grabs, and she gets a hold of her arm. Dane has a moment to intervene and help if he so chooses. And Terrask, I'm going to let you act at the same time as well. She's right next to your cage, and Dane, you're about 10 to 15 feet away. So you two can both act at the same time. I'll go to Dane first.
Okay, so she's trying to grab the little girl and pull her out of herself.
Yeah, basically this little girl's like sinking into her. It looks weird as shit, but the lady has grabbed this little girl's arm, is beginning to pull her out.
Okay, I'm going to get to her, and I'm going to initiate arm lock.
Bring down the arm.
I'm going to blow my last 2 dice just to get her in this arm lock to stop her from pulling this little girl out. Explosions. 16, 25. I have 28 before I have the explosions.
Okay. That's enough. That's enough. Don't even bother adding up, and don't roll any damage because I'm gonna present Terrask with a situation here. Terrask, you see Dane running.
Well, I don't deal damage when I do that. The lock is just put in place and remains in place until she makes an agility attack action to escape it.
Right, and it's not her action right now. It's going to go
around for free.
It's going to go to Terrask. So Terrask, what you see Dane run up, and he runs up with this almost this fury you've never seen him run with before, and not only does his hands and his fists light up, but it seems to start to go up his whole entire arm up to his elbow, and he slides underneath this creature as she's kind of spinning around and trying to wrench this girl off of her. He slides underneath her, and as he does, he grabs an arm and then pins her up against the cage, and you have a moment where you can react.
He grabbed the little girl.
No, he has a hold of Lady Naladri's other arm, basically pinned up against the cage to try to prevent her from...
Yeah. I'd like to try to grab at her too. Maybe her waist and try to also kind of help.
Yeah, great.
This through the cage.
Yeah, make an attack roll with, since she's in this position, it's kind of hard to miss. Give yourself like plus 3d6 because
so agility.
Nice.
It's okay.
Yeah, and the only reason I'm not having you automatically succeed is because of the condition that you're in.
27.
Oh yeah, you got it. So you wrap your hands around her, and what do you do when you do that? Is that it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I can get too creative with this. I'm in bars, so I feel like restraining her is the best I can probably hope at this point.
Yeah. You feel something strange when you come into contact with her. You feel these feelings. You feel feelings. No, but you feel these things that make Terrask uncomfortable. No, I don't. Shut up. No, they seriously, they make Terrask very uncomfortable because you see flashes of the moments where this woman had to make this decision to leave her son, and you can feel the burden, like it's your burden, and you can feel these things that she felt when she had to make this terrible decision. And then you see a flash of her causing herself immense pain, separating parts of her consciousness to block out the pain and to cope with losing a husband and a lover and a son, and to move on into her life. And then as you're squeezing and everything, this little girl, she fully...
just to be clear, that wasn't all one person. Lover, son, all that. That was different. He's talking about different people.
Yes, the lover being Terrask's dad. The lover being Terrask's dad, and the son being Terrask. Yes. As this is kind of happening, the little girl slowly begins to just fully sink into the lady, and there is just this. It's not like a moment, but you do feel like you don't need to, like she's not fighting it anymore. And Dane, you feel the same thing. At first she was wriggling and like hissing and writhing at you like no. And then as this little girl finally soaks in all the way, you don't feel the struggle anymore, and you don't feel the need to hold her down anymore. She's just standing still, and this bright light shines as these two halves become whole again. And after a few moments, when this shimmering light finally dissipates, what's left is not a little girl, and it's not this bitter adult woman anymore, but it's a young lady with caring eyes, the eyes of a loving young new mother. And she's standing there, and she's just kind of looking at her hands, And she looks up and she looks at Dane, and she just kind of looks at you and then turns around and then looks right at Terrask. And Terrask, you know, this is how your mother looked when she tore out that little girl from her consciousness, when she decided to give you up and to hope that you would have a better life, better than the one she could give you. She had committed herself to this foolish crusade, and now she was in too deep. And to bring a son into this it'd be no life for you. There's a very high possibility that you would die. She made the best decision she thought she knew she could make. And you see all of this in her as she looks back at you. And as you kind of have this moment where you guys are looking at each other, the entire place just begins to kind of shake. Subtly at first. And she says to you in a very soft voice, she says, I know you can never forgive me for the terrible things I've done. And she kind of looks down to the ground. And then she looks up again, and she just has tears streaming down her face. She says, but believe me when I say I love you, and nothing will ever change that. And the room begins to shake a little bit more, and she says, you're my son, and will always be in my heart. And the place begins to shake more, and rocks fall from the ceiling, and more tears come down her face as her eyes, you see, begin to slowly succumb to blackness. And the cage around you dissipates, and she screams now, run! Live to fight another day, run! Run! And you see her eyes begin to just be taken over by blackness, and she collapses down onto the floor, onto her knees. Russell, you're talking and I can't hear you.
I grab Terrask and say, let's go. The time to be emotional is later. Let's get out of here.
He's with it. I don't know where the exit is to my brain, but I'll go there. I would kind of be looking around like, I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, when
as we run,
no, you don't even need to run. So I would tell you. So as soon as, because Daniel's monitoring this situation, and as soon as you have an agreement with Terrask that Terrask is like, yes, let's go. There's that confirmation. Let's get the shit out of here. First, Terrask comes. He disappears from your hands, and then you look up, and Dane, you have this moment where you see this young mother. As this place is crumbling down around her, the place kind of suddenly stops rumbling, and she looks back at you, and her eyes are completely black, and her teeth begin to grow into fangs again, and she stands back up and she says, "Get out of here!" And then you just vanish.
Okay.
Yep. And that's where we'll pick up next time.